Hi, welcome to Promo Insiders, an ASI media podcast that covers the issues that matter most to the promotional products industry. I'm Chris Ruvo for ASI. Today, we're going to be talking about the first big blockbuster news for promo in 2022. Of course, I'm talking about SnugZ USA, a top 40 supplier, acquiring Sweda company, also a top 40 firm. The mega deal weds two industry powerhouses and creates a new contender for top 10 supplier status. Here to talk about the partnership is SnugZ CEO Brandon Mackay and Sweda CEO Jim Hagan, who is now president of the combined company. We'll discuss the acquisition, what it means for the companies in our industry going forward, and how they plan to navigate the supply chain challenges of 2022. There'll be insights you won't want to miss. If you're watching this live, please chime in with questions and comments, and we'll do our best to address them. So Brandon and Jim, thank you, of course, for taking some time to chat with us.
Absolutely.
You bet.
All right, so let's jump into these questions. So Brandon, I'm just going to start with you. Can you tell me, why did SnugZ pursue this acquisition? Why did it make good business sense for you guys?
Well, we've been looking for acquisitions for quite a while, and then the COVID scenario kind of derailed that, and we were actively just beating the street, and just by luck, the representative for Sweda reached out to us, and the second I heard about it, I was just like over the moon.
Okay. Tell me about that. Why were you so pumped? What was it about Sweda that made you say, "Oh, this is a good fit for us"?
Well, number one, the luxury of being in promo for many, many years, just like Jim, you get to know people a little bit on a personal level. And from what I've known from Jim and what I know of Sweda, they are just a top shelf organization. They have the same theories and ethos and way they go to market as SnugZ does. And to find that kind of chemistry between two organizations, for me, when they reached out and said, "Hey, would you be interested at all?" I was like, "Yeah, when do I show up?"
Okay. All right, perfect. So it came about pretty naturally. Jim, from a Sweda perspective, why did you all reach out? Why did that seem like a good partnership for you?
Yeah, so with the timing for us was just good. It's something we decided earlier in the year that this was something we wanted to pursue, and got things organized and got our broker to reach out to some strategics that we liked, and couldn't have been happier when Brandon and his team placed an interest and kind of went down the road with us. And like Brandon said, for us, it was kind of crossing our fingers, hoping that they came in with something that we were all excited about, because he was certainly our number one choice. And at the end of the day, our cultures align. Brandon and I have known each other for off and on for 15 years. Really got to know each other a few years ago at a dinner, and it kind of just escalated from there. So this was just great timing all the way around, and we were fortunate to land with them.
I like that word culture that you used. Can you just tell me about that? What is it about the cultures that that there's I guess a cohesion with, or what's similar? What makes the company similar and a good fit in that sense?
I think for us, and I think I can speak for Sweda. We have values, and our values are we work hard, we care about each other inside the organization. We always do what's right. We try to think big and think to the next level, but we're not organizations that's a race to the bottom in price. So if that's not your MO, then you can support a lot of these other agendas internally and just be super supportive of one another. And I see that inside of Sweda. They have a passion for knowledge and doing things better and smarter and faster. And it all comes down to just wanting to make each other better inside the organization.
I got it. So I like that, like a real emphasis on quality, a real emphasis on doing things the right way instead of just how can we get this out as cheap as possible, per se. And that's got to be so important, because if you're not aligned, if one guy's like, how are we getting this as cheap as we could get it? And the other guy's like, well, no, we want to do something we're proud of and that's going to be good. That's not going to work. So,
right.
Awesome. Right. All right. So kind of with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about, maybe the most important thing, of course, your customers. How is this deal a good thing for customers of Sweda and for SnugZ? How does this benefit them?
You want
Neither of you can feel free to jump in first.
Yeah. I mean, from our perspective, right, we're business as usual, and we've really built the reputation around being able to deliver on time, make our commitments, quality product with quality logo, getting there on time. So we don't foresee any drastic changes in the near future. And Brandon and I are both focused on minimizing any impact actually to the customer and making sure that we deliver our products the way that they expect them and the way they have expected them. And, we've built our reputation around that. And we're going to continue to do that the best we can.
Got it.
Yeah.
Brandon, how about for you guys?
Yeah, just to echo what Jim had said, we're just here to not mess this thing up, right? I think that's our goal right now is
Good goal.
to take two highly functioning organizations. Neither of us are a turnaround project, and to be able to cohabitate with one another, share best practices, things that are working, things that weren't working for us. And it's just a great opportunity to share a lot of good practices, and then obviously a lot of things that have not worked. Then we both don't have to make those same mistakes over and over again. And like I said, they have a phenomenal team, just top shelf. They have very, very bright people inside of the organization of Sweda, and I'm sure they're going to be able to teach us much, much more than we could have ever learned on our own, in years and years, in just a matter of months.
Nice. So I was going to ask you guys about, some of the behind the scenes negotiation stuff, but it sounds like, as you guys mentioned, Sweda reached out and it went from there. Was there extensive talks? Like how long were the talks going on for? Did it come together pretty quickly?
I think there's no shortage of talks. So
Yeah.
Anybody that's been involved in any kind of merger or acquisition, I think that the talks are aplenty. There's no shortage of talks, and there's ebbs and flows, right? There's high points and low points, and we're happy, we're not happy. But I don't ever feel like we had a massive breakdown in communication, and level heads always prevail. And I'm just grateful that, Jim was representing that side. And I was very forthright when we first got into it. I was going to say, this is going to be one of the hardest things you've ever done in your life. Okay. And it's mentally exhausting, and it's got a lot of peaks and valleys, but the end game is so rewarding and so exciting. And like I said, Jim was just a stalwart. He was an amazing on his end. And
I'll throw this question out to both of you too. It's kind of related to that. Is there any advice you'd have for people who are maybe looking to create any best practices that you learned by trial or error that might be worth throwing out there?
Yeah, I'll tackle that first, Brandon. From my perspective, we did first time ever doing this, right? And we buttoned up the shop pretty tightly, and I think did a good job of getting it ready for Brandon and his team to review and go through our practices, go through the numbers, having it make sense. So preparation prior to going through that made a huge difference for both parties. It is not easy. Like anybody that tells you it is, I think they're kidding themselves. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it was super rewarding in a lot of different ways, and we're all smarter because of it. My advice would be, anybody running a business, and if you can do it, do your own QOV on your business, because it makes you that much sharper on what's going on day to day in your business, and it will definitely help build your profitability and truly your understanding of what's happening inside your own four walls.
Really interesting. And Brandon, anything to add to that? Anything you learned through the whole experience, kind of being on the other end, the company that was looking to acquire?
Yeah, I mean, the only advice I can give anybody that's going through this process is, just work on and control the things you can control. And if you can't control it, you've just got to find ways to let that energy out and just let it be. And the quicker you can do that, the less gray hair you'll have, and the less you'll find yourself pounding your face on your desk. But just control what you can control, and let the professionals take care of their roles and responsibilities, and just find times to breathe, and just to find a good Zen mode where you can, because it's a very challenging process. It is not easy.
Yeah, and I would add, like we were fortunate. We had a really good partner leading the charge on our side that did just a phenomenal job, and him and his crew were fantastic, and the behind the scenes team was outstanding as well. So yeah, it takes a village.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it does. So so we have you guys here. So given the age that we're living in, there's no way we can't ask you about this, and that's of course the issues of supply chain. It was the defining issue in many ways of 2021 for our industry, for really many industries. So I'm just kind of wondering, what are you seeing right now from a supply chain perspective? Like, do you have any sense of what's going on? Are things improving? Are they getting worse? What are you seeing? And either you can feel free to jump.
Yeah, from our point of view, we've been able to find those secondary and third factories outside of those that we use. We've been able to split up some of our ordering practices to kind of alleviate some of the risk for us. Obviously, we have to spend more money at this point right now to have a bigger cushion or more safety stocks, so to speak. And for us, it's just forensically monitoring the situation daily, almost hourly of what are our projections looking like, what is our order throughput looking like, and when do we have to start pulling levers to make sure that we don't run out of stuff. But so we don't have the luxury of kind of managing this kind of at, from afar, so to speak. This is something that, you have multiple departments on and subject matter experts working on all day, every day now.
Yeah. Excuse me. The only thing, like, our businesses are pretty different. Brandon and SnugZ does a lot of manufacturing where we're doing a lot of, importing and decorating. So our trajectory is a little bit different. And what we did really back in 2020 was look at our best moving products, our best sellers, go deep in those and not what I would call our C and D products, if you will. And that strategy has paid huge dividends. And then when you look at the analytics and things, no different than what Brandon added. But that strategy for us has paid off greatly for 2021, and we haven't shifted away from that for 2022. And our lead times and our windows are a little bit longer depending on what's going on in overseas. And Chinese New Year is coming up. So we think we've done a good job preparing for that. It's not to say we won't fall short, but at the same time, we're well positioned for what I would classify as our A and B movers.
Very good. Now, so that's a look at what you guys are doing. Broadly speaking, are you seeing any, Jim, I think this may be more for you since you're so heavily focused on importing. Just, are you seeing any improvement from getting the product overseas to here in an efficient way? And is there any relief on the cost pressures with the shipping containers, stuff of that nature? Like, what are you seeing in that regard?
Yeah, no, I felt like it was going that way, and then shipping costs have gone back up.
Mm-hmm.
They're just as high as they were at the peak, and then we have Ningbo shutting down completely now, and so everybody's working from home. You're not getting stuff exported out, so it's going to continue to be a challenge. I don't see it changing. I think China's actually enduring what we are enduring now. It's just hitting there, and their reaction is one person has it, they shut down the whole city, right? And so
yes.
Zero
tolerance, they call it. Yeah.
Zero tolerance, and it is very dramatic to what happens with your imports. So it's going to remain challenging, and for the foreseeable future, for probably the first, second quarter for sure.
Mm-hmm. Or throw a little bit of a curveball. I'm just curious. I read an article today. This is what put it in my head that there's a little bit more of significant movement toward onshoring now as a result of the supply chain issues that we're seeing. Do you, and then Brandon, I know of course that you guys do USA manufacturing. Do you see that momentum picking up for our industry or for your company going forward, or is it just, I've also heard it called a pipe dream that it's going to come back in a big way. So I'm curious just what you guys see, if there's any real substantial movement in that regard, or does it kind of just remain not realistic on a large scale?
I can speak as far as a USA manufacturer. It's not realistic.
Okay.
We source obviously goods out of Asia,
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan, China, and whatnot, but we also source goods all over the globe. So, we make personal care products, and we source goods where it's indigenous to, right? Mm-hmm. So they don't make some of the chemicals and compounds and things for sunscreens and lotions and things in China. They may happen any place all over the world. And as long as those places are equally as impacted as China is, mm-hmm. It's not just hosted at China, and that's where all the supply chain delay is. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, we have no real natural resources here domestically in the US to make stuff. Mm-hmm. We're really good at assembling things and completing goods here, but we don't have any infrastructure for raw materials in the United States. So that portion of it, I believe, is a pipe dream. Mm-hmm. Onshoring itself, there might be some pop-ups that are similar to SnugZ, but it's not going to be something that's sustainable.
Yeah.
And last, finding people that are willing and able and have the abilities to jump into the manufacturing world is becoming a larger pipe dream too.
That's a fair point for a whole variety of reasons. You know, like people aren't tracking to those jobs the way that they did generations ago. It's seen as if you're wanting to move towards something else, something white collar, something technology. So, Jim, do you have anything to add to that, or is your assessment pretty similar?
Yeah, Brandon did a great job. It's extremely difficult to do that. So I don't have much more to add. I thought Brandon answered it very well.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Guys, I appreciate you being generous with your times. I'll kind of just leave the forum open for you. Just any final thoughts for the industry about your new partnership, supply chain, whatever it might be. Anything you want to throw out there? Jim, you want to go first?
We're the only thing I'll add is we're super excited about this acquisition from SnugZ, and we're excited to be part of Brandon's team and family, and looking forward to the future and what we can do together. We're excited. There's a ton of opportunity and no short of desire and energy to make that happen. So
nice. Brandon, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, from our point of view, we couldn't be more excited to be able to work with Jim and to work with the entire Sweda team. I mean, holy fetch, there are some seriously smart people there, and just to walk away. I was there earlier this week, and just walk away and kind of reminisce about some of the talent that I met there. I am just really, really excited about cohabitation. Kind of marrying this Brady Bunch family together. And there are some just incredibly brilliant people there, and I'm just grateful that SnugZ is going to have the opportunity to be able to see where this goes and have them teach us. And we're here to learn.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me some of your time today. I appreciate the insights. I had some fun doing this. I hope that you did too. And we're excited to see what comes next from you all. So congratulations on the deal.
great. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.